welcome to Revelations of a Delusional Knitter. This is episode 110. It is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2015, and I'm Angela, your host. On to updates and housekeeping. Welcome if you are new. If you are returning, I thank you as always. In either way, I hope you enjoy the episode. You can subscribe on iTunes or YouTube, and you can leave ratings and reviews there. And if you're a member of Ravelry, please come and join the Ravelry board. And there you can post comments in the threads as well, where I post the episodes. And I appreciate that very much. Week in review. Again, it's not a week. I really need to find a new thing to call this. But anyway, the Patriots won the Super Bowl, so that was awesome. We had it on at work, but we were quite busy, so we didn't get to watch the whole thing, but we did most definitely see the last, 5 or 10 minutes. And I think because everybody else was watching it, we were not busy at all, because nothing else was happening during that 5 to 10 minutes, so I think everybody was watching it. And I didn't think they were going to win, because there were 8 minutes left or something, and they were behind by 10 points, if I remember correctly, so yeah, I really didn't think they were going to win, but they did what they usually do, which is make us sit on the edge of our seats towards the end of the game, and then miraculously they win, so that's cool. Snow. I'm so sick of snow. Oh! I know I live in New England, and I know it's winter, but 3 feet in 5 days is way too much snow. That's just ridiculous. It's crazy. And it was probably more than 3 feet, actually. I don't even know. I'm going based on the weather report before the snow fell, not even after. I don't even know what it actually is, but it's ridiculous. Luckily for me, last week when we had a blizzard, my coworker that lives the next street over and walks to work, the day before he had said to me, "Oh, if you want me to work for you tomorrow, I will, because we can do swaps and stuff." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll see how it goes." And then he texted me at 11:30 that day, and it hadn't even started snowing yet, because it wasn't even supposed to snow until 7 p.m. And he said, "Yeah, I'm in a working mood, I'll work for you today if you want." And I was like, "Hey, you know what? If you want to, have at it." And I'm glad he did, because we got a lot of snow that night. And then, luckily, the next snowstorm we had, which was yesterday, actually it started at midnight the night before, but I got out at 11. We got another foot or something. I'm on my regular scheduled day off, which is great because the plow guy didn't come until 7 p.m. So I would have never gotten out of the driveway to go to work. But yeah, I'm sick of snow. Today I went out, since I was off yesterday, I didn't even bother, but today I wanted to run out to the store. It took me half an hour to clean off my truck. That's how much snow we have. And shovel around it so I could get out. Because they plowed. My husband was nice enough that when he cleaned out his car to go to work this morning, he shoveled in front of my truck, but I still had to shovel around it, to get in and clean up the spot so I could park again after I went to the store. And I literally shoveled the snow off my truck and then used the brush. There was at least a foot, so ridiculous. It is the nice, soft, fluffy, light stuff though, which is good. Then when I got back from running errands, I tried to rake off the roof, but I'm too short to get a whole lot of it, so I got whatever I could off of it. But yeah, we have 2 feet or more on our roof, which is not good because it gets heavy and it's not very good for a roof. So I was trying to get some of it off, but I got off what I could, and that's all I can do because I can't even get the ladder out of the shed to stand on the ladder to do it because the snow, now that they've plowed a couple of times, it's hip deep around the house. We have 5 or 6 steps that go from the front of the house down to the yard below. And because this room is on ground level, but the other side of the house is 2 stories. I missed every single step. And thank God there is snow there because I would have probably broken my neck. But because I couldn't see the steps because there's 3 feet of snow on them. So I tried going down them and clearly missed every single step. And yeah, I was in snow up to my butt. So when I came in, I changed my clothes because I was soaking wet, and yeah, that's it. And I'm just so sick of snow, and we still have a ton of snow on our roof because I could only get off the edges, but ay. In our house, we have a lot of trees and a lot of shade. The front of the house never gets direct sun except for the morning, which doesn't do anything. The back of the house gets afternoon sun, so that melts off before the front. But yeah, it's never going to melt off. It's probably still going to be there in April. It's crazy. I did laugh at something. I've said before, we get a lot of, at work, 911 calls that are not emergencies. And we've had people even like, we tell them like, you should be calling the business line. This 911 is for life or death emergencies. And we've actually had people say to us, oh, it is? What is wrong with you people? So I had a guy the other day call, and I just had to laugh, and I actually looked up the number for him because his response was so ridiculous that I was like, all right, you got me there. Answer the phone, 911, what is your emergency? I ran out of oil. I need emergency heating oil. And I was like, well, apparently that's your emergency. Okay, so I did put him on hold, and I looked up the number he needed to call, but yeah. I was laughing at that one because, yeah. Let's see. I would like to, at some point, update my Ravelry stash because I was looking in it the other day to look for something to spin, and I have a lot of it in there because last year I did really well and I spent like a couple of days, taking pictures and updating Ravelry, but then I stopped. So, for example, I have the Into the World Club fiber shipments. I don't have any of 2013 in there. 2014 in there. I do have 2013 in there. I'm sorry, last year, 2014. So there's like 12 right there, right? And then there's got to be other ones that are not in there. So I would really like to get back into that because it's so much easier to look on Ravelry when you're looking for a particular fiber or yarn or whatever it is you're looking for. In the stash, it's so nice to have this list right there with the photograph, then go into closets or bins or bookcases looking for things. So, really like to get that updated. That's my plan. Don't forget, February 8th, which is next Sunday, there is another VCAN scheduled. I don't know if I updated the group. I think I did. I think I changed it to 6:30 to 8:30. Because The Walking Dead premieres again at 9. So I will not be in the VCAN at 9 o'clock. Or close to 9 o'clock because I need to go watch that. So that's coming up. Don't forget about that. I'll put up a reminder too. Alright, on to Revelations. The Knitters Guild Association Master Hand Knitter Program. I have done nothing since I spoke about it last. So I really need to get off my butt and finish that up because it's really not a tremendous amount of work I need to resubmit, so I gotta get that done. The sock yarn blanket, I don't think I've done any new squares on that either. That's another one I gotta pick up, because those are so short. It's like 15 or 20 minutes to do a square, so I really gotta keep adding to that. The penguin pillow, however, I have a lot of progress to show you, which is good, because I wanted to give this as a gift in February. So, what I have on the penguin pillow is, remember the last time I showed you I had the white done and I was starting the back. It's done. Look, it's like in pillow form. Yay! So I finished the back and then I joined the two in the round to knit the rest of the pillow. And then what I decided to do, which I ran out, they said to just bind off and then sew the top. And I think that's silly, since you're going to stuff a pillow form in there. So I actually did Kitchener stitch. And I was not quite sure how much yarn you needed to Kitchener something, so I looked up on Knitty, and they said in an article on Kitchener stitch, about twice as much. I did 3 times as much, plus 6 inches, and I still ran out, so I don't know. But yeah, that's fine. I just added in some new yarn that I'll have to weave in the ends and be all set. But yeah, so the pillow body is done. I was going to block it, I think, because it's stockinette stitch. The edges are curling so much. I think it's going to be a pain to try and seam like that. My hair is all over it too. So I think I am going to try blocking this so that I have nice seams that I can seam together. But I'm very excited about that. That is completed. And then I finished one wing. So I have to make another wing. So this one will go on the side. This is a penguin. And again, they said just to bind off and sew the bottom together, but I did Kitchener stitch again because it just seems silly to me to have a big bulky seam across the bottom of it. So that one's done. And still have a bit more to do because I gotta do another one of these. Feet I gotta do, and then a scarf, which that seems to be like the worst part of the whole thing, is knitting a scarf for a pillow. It just seems stupid. So, but I'll have to do it. The only thing is too, I don't like the scarf in the pattern calls for a knit one, purl one, rib, and I actually started the scarf. Then I didn't like it because one of your edges is kind of weird. So then I was like, oh, well, let me try it, and I'll slip the stitch on each side so that it's got a nice edge. But I still don't even know if I like it. So I might even just try and find, like, a real scarf pattern, but minimize it so it's, you know, sized for the pillow. I don't know. The slip stitch thing might work fine, but I was just slipping one on each side. Actually, it doesn't look that bad. I don't know. It's a scarf for a pillow. It's just silly, but I would like it to look, since I kitchenered everything, I would like the scarf to look very nice as well and not have some weird edge. The other thing I have for Revelations, since it's February again, I was thinking this would probably be a really good time to finish the February lady sweater. That is 5 years old. So this is my February lady sweater that I started many, many, many moons ago. And all it needs is sleeves and buttons. And I had already started a sleeve here, so I wanted to pick that back up and see if I could finish that this month. We'll see how that goes. And I think that's it for Revelations. I'm also going to have some other knitting to do. I'm pretty sure our mailman hates us, and I thought he did a long time ago, because we get a lot of packages between my husband and I. I get a lot of fibery stuff and books or whatever. He gets a lot of video game things and all of his stuff. So we get a lot of packages, and we have a long driveway. There's like 3 telephone poles on it. And I'm pretty sure that's why he hates us, because it's almost like another road on his route. So the other day he had come, and I'm home because I think I might have mentioned this. I might have been talking to somebody at work about it, because one year he got stuck in our driveway in the snow, but luckily my husband was home and pushed him out. The other day he came and knocked on the door. I was home because I don't work until 3, and he said that the mailbox was blocked because they had plowed it in. And now it's like frozen and it's ice. And I said, okay, well, you know, I think it's frozen solid right now, so we'll see what we can do, but it might, you know, whatever. And he said, well, I can't come down the driveway unless you have packages, so you're not going to get your mail. And I said, well, that's fine. If it's blocked, you know, whatever, do what you got to do. So we were supposed to get packages on Saturday, according to, like, tracking, and they never got delivered. Excuse me. So then they were supposed to get delivered Monday, obviously, right? That was a snowstorm, so they never got delivered. And the online thing said that a notice was left because the receptacle was blocked. First of all, no notice was left, and how are you leaving one if the receptacle's blocked? Okay. My husband walked up there with the shovel to clean it out, and he's like, it wasn't that bad. And he said, and I'm pretty sure that the fresh footsteps in the snow are from the mailman to the neighbor's mailbox. So he went out of his way, it appears, to walk to the neighbor's mailbox, but not ours. Whatever. So, the whole point of this story is that the yarn for the fingerless mitts I was doing for the yarn dyer was supposed to come on Saturday, and still is not here. So I have to knit that as well this month, whenever I get the yarn. Actually, I think my husband has it, because on his way to work this morning around 9, he stopped at the post office and picked up all of our packages that they apparently are not going to deliver. And he said that some of them look like yarn. Well, plus that one, tracking-wise, was supposed to be delivered yesterday, so it's got to be one of those. So I should have that yarn soon. I was actually waiting to record until today because I thought I was getting some things to show you guys, but apparently not, because the mailman hates us. So, yeah. On to string theory. I did finish something, which I like a lot. If you remember, I was doing that Manos del Uruguay Extra Fine Merino forever. For some reason, it took me to spin. I finished it. I spun up 3 bobbins and I 3-plied it. This is not washed or thwacked, so it looks a little kinky, but I'm sure it will be fine once it's washed, but I didn't want to wash it because then it would be wet and I couldn't show it to you. Here it is. It's a lovely, oh shoot. You know what I did not record in my show notes, but I have on my blog? The yardage. It's fingering weight. Maybe slightly on the heavy side. It's 300 and something yards. It, you know, your typical fingering weight skein, good yardage. It came out awesome. It is super squishy. I love it. I'm sure once I wash it, it'll be even better. But yeah, it came out really, really good. And I like it a lot. And I like how the colors blended together. You know, there's some bits that are just the gold. There's some bits that are just the blue. And then there's a mix of the two. So, yeah, very happy with that. And then I had some leftover on 2 bobbins, because that always happens no matter what you do. Because even if you weigh things out, when you're spinning them, you're spinning one a little bit thicker, a little bit thinner, whatever, so you always end up with extra. I tried Navajo plying it, but there was not enough twist in the singles to handle that, so that I just ended up 2-plying it. So, that's how that came out. And this one, once I wash it up, I'm just going to throw in my sock yarn blanket stash, because that's what I've been doing with the little leftover bits of hand spun. And then on the Traveler, I started spinning. One of the groups I'm in on Ravelry is a spinner study, and they pick like a breed or 2 a month to study. So this month is Corriedale, which I had some in my stash from Into the World, from one of my club shipments from 2012. And it's this lovely stuff. It's really pretty. It's a really, really nice fiber. It is very soft. It's a little bit of a longer wool, so it's like in between. It's not quite as soft as merino. It almost reminds me a little bit more like Shetland. It's still on the very soft side though, so spinning up this on the Traveler, I did have some issues, which is stupid me. I can't believe I didn't stop quicker, but I haven't spun on my wheel, that wheel. This one I spun on the Roadbug since like October. And this is a new to me fiber. So I'm spinning, and I was trying a different draft. I mean, I'm done now. I was spinning along, and I thought everything was going swimmingly until I stopped for a minute, and then when I came back, like I went to go get a drink or use the bathroom or something, I came back, when I went to pull the single back out to attach new yarn, it drifted apart, and I was like, oh no. So I was looking at the bobbin closer and pulling it off, and this is nothing. It's all drifting apart, and I was like, oh my goodness, what have I been doing this whole time? I mean, I didn't spin for that long, maybe like 20 minutes or something, but... So I was checking everything, and I'm like, well, maybe it's the draft I'm trying, because I'm trying to get to long draw, and I'm trying to do it like J.C. Boggs' method, where you go like step by step by step, so I was doing a short backward draft. And I was like, well, maybe it's the way I'm doing the draft. And then, then I just started spinning it my normal way, and it was still doing that. And I'm treadling like mad, and I'm like, what is going on? Then I stopped and checked. My drive band was probably worn out and stretched out. So the flyer, even though it looked like it was spinning normally, was probably slipping a bit and not spinning as much as it was supposed to. Because I did also notice when I pulled the Traveler over here, and this happens a lot in the winter, because this room gets really cold, and then when I'm in here, it warms up because I have a space heater, number one, or just being in here with the computer on and the lights on warms up the room more than it is if I'm not in here. When I pulled it over here, I had to tighten some bolts because things were wobbly because the wood expands and contracts and stuff. But I never thought that the drive band would be an issue because it's not that old. Well, probably with everything else expanding and contracting, the drive band got stretched out too because it's just a cotton drive band. So I changed the drive band and voila, it was spinning fabulously. So I have to remember that next time I have issues with fiber, to stop and check the drive band. And the other thing I'm spinning, supported spinning, another group on Ravelry, Support Spindlers, is doing a new thing where we're going to do like fiber every 2 weeks, which is awesome because it's almost like a little sampley thing. And since the supported spinning is a little bit different, it's not, I don't want to call it slower because spindles versus wheels, there's no, it really just depends on how well you do it or how much you like it. It can be just as fast. But I haven't spun a ton on supported spindles, so this sampling of fibers sounded like a really cool idea to me. So the first one they picked was merino. Now, because it's going to be more of like a sampling thing, I don't want to start any 4-ounce braids because I'll just have like 15 spinning projects not done, so I don't want to do that. So I have a lot of different fibers though, where I have 1 ounce or 2 ounces, and I did have a merino from a braid from Into the World that I spun before, but I had some left over, like 12 ounces. 12 grams. So I just grabbed that and started spinning that. So this is my Texas Jeans Tibetan, one of them, which is a lovely spindle. Which, by the way, I don't think I ever told anybody this story. I got this spindle in October. I used the excuse that it was my birthday to buy this spindle. And the mail came, and I was in the kitchen making a cup of tea. It was one of my days off, and I opened the box and everything in the kitchen to, you know, toss that in the recycle bin. And I grabbed this spindle and my cup of tea, and I came in this room where the cats are not allowed, so the door is always shut. These spindles are super highly polished. For whatever idiotic reason, I thought it was perfectly okay for me to hold the spindle like this and a cup of tea and shut the door. Spindle hit the floor, and it broke. The shaft snapped, and I spilt tea all over it, so I also stained the wood. So, what I did was, well, I stood there for a good minute or two, staring at it, and then I picked it up and wiped the tea off of it, and then did I do it that day? I think I might have, because I'm kind of crazy like that, and it would have driven me crazy. I glued it back together very carefully, and then I let it sit and cure. Of course, I fiddled with it, because I can't leave well enough alone, so it probably would have cured slightly better than it would have if I didn't fiddle with it at all, but I fiddled with it a little bit. But it works perfectly fine. And if I didn't tell you that story, you'd probably never even know this thing ever broke unless you looked very, very, very closely. There's part of the whorl, the shaft down here. It's shaped almost like this bit here, where it snapped off. There's a tiny bit of glue that you can see, but other than that, it's fine. It does wobble slightly. I guarantee it did not wobble before I broke it, because I have other spindles from the spindle maker, and they spin absolutely beautifully. But it certainly doesn't stop it from spinning. So the whole point of this story was I stopped spinning on supported spindles after I broke this one. I think because it was so tragic. So I picked it back up again, and of course I started with this one because I just had to get over it, and it still spins perfectly fine, and it really doesn't wobble. It doesn't wobble any worse than any other spindles. Some spindles wobble slightly if they're not perfectly balanced, but it certainly doesn't, it really doesn't wobble that much. I mean, that's in my hand, so that's probably a really bad example, but it really doesn't wobble very much at all. It works perfectly fine. But that really, it just broke my heart and completely traumatized me. I'm spinning on these for a little while, but I'm over it now because this is spinning perfectly fine and it still works. And yeah, so here's some of that merino that I've been spinning up, and I'm just spinning it from the fold because it's a comb top, and it's, you know, really difficult to spin top on supported spindles. Some people do it. I have not quite figured it out yet, but spinning it from the fold works perfectly fine. So that's it for spinning. I do have a book review this episode that I actually didn't even plan on. It's a little chilly in here, sorry. I should have put my space heater on. Plan on doing a book review this episode. However, yesterday I got a newsletter from Donna Druchunas for 99-cent ebooks. And I was like, what? And then she even put in her newsletter a comment from a fan that said, I thought it said $9.99. Which is still a good deal, but when I clicked on it and it was $99, I thought it was, a mistake. So before I go blabbing this to everybody, I wanted to make sure it was really 99 cents. And Donna Druchunas said, yes, that's correct, it's 99 cents. So I bought 2 of her books for 99 cents, which is crazy. And as I say in the review, they retail for like $17 to $21 each of these books in that price range. So it is quite a steal. So those 2 books, I'm only reviewing one, but I mentioned both of them because they're both pretty much the same thing. They're just different regions that she goes over. Because one is Ethnic Knitting Discovery, and it covers the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, and the Andes, I think. I'm doing this from memory right now, sorry. And the other one, and I have to sneeze really bad. Excuse me. The other one is Ethnic Knitting Exploration, which I did not review, but I just brought up because it's pretty much the same thing. And that one covers Lithuania, Iceland, and Ireland. And it's crazy. When you see the book, you're going to be like, 99 cents, that's nuts. It's really crazy. So check those out. Well, you'll see the review, but you should definitely give those a thought because I couldn't believe it. And I have no affiliation with her whatsoever. I just purchased these 2 books yesterday, so and those were really cool. So we can put our book review in here. This is a quick review of Ethnic Knitting Discovery, the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, and the Andes by Donna Druchunas. I recently got this, and for the month of February she actually has this book and another book called Ethnic Knitting Exploration, which covers Lithuania, Iceland, and Ireland, for 99 cents. Both books normally retail for $17 to $21, I think the 2 different books were, somewhere in that price range. So 99 cents is quite a ridiculous bargain, and it's not a mistake because I actually heard about it through her newsletter. So I just wanted to show you what these books were about, and for 99 cents they are well worth you picking up, because even if there's only one thing you want to make from it, they're also just chock full of a bunch of information in general. Even if you weren't interested in any of the particular patterns, they have some really good information in them. So this one, like I said, covers the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, and the Andes. And what the book is, the table of contents is here. And she explains freedom from patterns, what you need to know, what you don't need to know, because really this book is set up so that you can pick a motif from that particular region and then go ahead and knit your own sweater. So you don't need a pattern. The book here has 3 different options for you to knit a sweater from based on your preferences for how you like to deal with patterns. Chapter 2 goes into a few basics, so there's some technique things, yarn and supplies, knitting in the round, working from charts, centering patterns, and 3 needle bind-offs. That's just some techniques. Then Chapter 3 is the Netherlands, Chapter 4 is Denmark, Chapter 5 is Norway, and Chapter 6 is the Andes. And then you have your typical bibliography, index, and acknowledgments. So I'll just show you a couple of the things. There's an introduction which talks about different cultures and knitting styles and where things come from and how they, move across regions. What is ethnic knitting? And it explains to you what it is. The term ethnic knitting describes traditional knitting techniques used in different parts of the world to create sweaters and accessories that are unique to each country or region. And while differing in details, ethnic knits share a few common traits. In most cases, garments and accessories are knitted in the round using double-pointed or circular needles. There are no line-by-line instructions or written patterns, as this book kind of teaches you how to do. Each item is original, a unique combination of pattern stitches and colors, knitted using the traditional techniques of the region, and stitch patterns and knitting techniques are passed on to new knitters by families and friends. So that's an explanation of what ethnic knitting is and, what this book is kind of introducing you to. And here we go. Chapter 3 through 6, like I just said, feature different knitting techniques from the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, and the Andes. And this is what each of the chapters includes: a small practice project such as a hat, headband, or purse, a general description of the sweater construction techniques used in that region, and then this is the 3 options you have for knitting a sweater: visual sweater plans, sweater planning worksheets or step-by-step project sheets for those who like line-by-line instructions, and I'll show you an example of one of them. But before we get to that, I wanted to show you some more of the information that this provides, because it really does give you everything you need to know in order to knit your own sweater. And most of them are based on the sweater proportion method, which was originally by Elizabeth Zimmerman. And there's also some ideas presented by Meg Swanson and Priscilla Gibson Roberts in here. So that's how you end up figuring out your math for your sweater. And it also shows you how to take the correct measurements so that you can do that. This is what I was talking about. There's a lot of just really good information in this book, even if you're not interested in any of the patterns. If you're interested in knitting sweaters, this is a pretty good book to give you sizes and those different schematics that you need and how to take measurements and things. Also goes into gauge and swatching and other things you need to know to make a successful sweater. It also shows you how to work with charts, since a lot of the ethnic things have to do with different motifs and different colors and things like that. It shows you how to do that. What I really liked was it also shows you how to center patterns. So it gives you the math so that you can center motifs within the number of stitches that you have for your sweater, so that you can really make it look very good. And then I'm just going to show you one example of a section. So this is the Netherlands. This is a section on that, so it gives you some information about ethnic knitting in the Netherlands. And then chapter highlights, the skills you need, the techniques, garment styling. So here it gives you some stitch patterns that you could try, and some motifs and other stitch patterns that you can plug right into your sweater. The small project is the seaman scarf, and there's the pattern for that. And then it also goes into your options, so you can do the step-by-step or the whatever. Here's the sweater one, so you have the sweater here. And then what I did find a little strange was there aren't actual photographs of any of these. They're all drawings. I thought that was a little odd, but it still works perfectly fine. So here's an example of how each section in the book works. Get ready your yarn and your needles and your gauge, and some more information about size and measuring and your gauge. And then here's the schematic of the sweater. So here you can plug in all the numbers for your measurements. That's option 1, is a visual plan, where you can just plug that in. Option 2 is using a planning worksheet, and there's the worksheet. You just plug in all your information there, and then that's continued for that option. Option 3, a step-by-step project sheet, so it has all the steps broken out like a typical pattern with all the verbiage that you would need, and that continues on there. And that's how the book works, and I think it's a really fantastic book and really great, because not only you're doing your own measurements and figuring out your own math, but it gives you 3 different options. So if you're a particular style knitter, or you learn differently, you know, everybody learns differently, so one style may be better for you than somebody else. I thought that was really, really fantastic. So there's 4 chapters like that from the different regions. And then there's the standard bibliography. So there's a lot of great books listed there. The index is pretty extensive, so if you're looking for something in particular, you're bound to find it. Then there's your acknowledgments and your usual, and at the end there's some other books you may enjoy by some of the people mentioned in this book. And that's it. And I thought it was a really, really fabulous book. Very, very interesting. It's Ethnic Knitting Discovery by Donna Druchunas. 99 cents for the month of February. And I also, like I said, picked up the other one, which is Ethnic Knitting Exploration, which covered Lithuania, Iceland, and Ireland. Quickly browsed through it, but it looked very, very similar to the setup of this book. So go and check those out. They're on Ravelry. And yeah, 99 cents, you just can't go wrong. I just couldn't believe it, and that's why I decided to do a book review for it today, because I just picked them up yesterday. And on to Testaments. So I mentioned before that I had ordered some yarn for the Sophie's Universe crochet along, and I showed that some of that pattern. So it's going until May, I think. I'm a little behind because it started at the beginning of January. It called for, you could either do it in, I think, worsted, DK, or sport. I went with DK, and all it was that your blanket would be that much bigger. You would either have like a child-sized blanket, you know, a throw, or like a bed-sized blanket, depending on which weight of yarn you did. So I opted for the DK, and I don't have, this sounds ridiculous, a lot of DK in my stash, certainly not multiple colors that are solid colors. So I ordered some yarn for it because I'd really like to do it. And whoever's doing this, I had it on my show notes before, I linked it before. She, I believe, is in the UK or a European country, because all of the yarns that she was calling for were UK yarns, which obviously you can substitute whatever DK yarns you want, but I've seen this yarn used a lot for different things, and I've never had a chance to use it, so that's why I opted for this yarn. And I thought I found a US distributor, which I may have, because the website appeared to be US, it was all in US prices and everything, but I was surprised because the package did end up coming from the UK. So, however, I was pleasantly surprised. It's loveknitting.com, because I placed the order on January 19th, they shipped it on the 20th, and I got it on the 29th. So that's really fast for international shipping. And I think it only cost me like $4.95 or something for shipping. It wasn't, that's what also why I thought they were in the US, but anyway. So it came in a big bag like this. But then I saw it said Royal Mail, so I was like, oh, it is from the UK. But I was happy to find it was really cool. It was really nicely packaged. It's all packaged like this. There's like 4 of these, what are these called? Organza or something? Bags with the yarn in it. How cool is that? Because I also, all of a sudden now, have a project bag for it. But that was really cool. It was really nicely packaged. I did also order a crochet hook, because I have plenty of crochet hooks, but I'm not a big crocheter, so I wanted to try, this is a Knit Pro Symphony, so it's one of those nice wood crochet hooks, so I ordered one of those as well. And since they shipped all the yarn in this bag, which, wood crochet hook, hello, what they did was, though, they put this in one of those cardboard envelopes, cardboard mailing envelopes, and they stuck it in between all that yarn. So it traveled perfectly fine and was perfectly protected. So yeah, I can't, no complaints whatsoever with them. They have a lot of stuff too, so you should check them out, loveknitting.com, because their shipping is completely reasonable and the time was completely reasonable, and their prices are really good too. The other thing I got, which is somewhat ridiculous, but whatever, fiber. For supported spinning, I've always wanted to try out the different merino micron sizes. So Opulent Fibers had a sampler. This was only $12.60, and there's 4 ounces in here total. There's 1 ounce each of different micron of wools. So there's fine, extra fine, super duper fine, and Optum, which is supposed to be like the most fabulous thing ever to spin supported. So I got that to try that out once I get a little bit better at supported spinning. And then, because why not, and I saw it, I got this is 70% merino and 30% tussa in this absolutely fabulously gorgeous purple. So I had to get some of that too, because this also was only like 12 something for 4 ounces. So their prices are fabulous as well. That's a pretty good deal. So that's what I have for testaments for this episode. And now we are on to intentions. Delusional Knitter Designs group. Everybody, not everybody, but some people are test knitting my convertible flip-top mittens right now. And that seems to be going well. I have mine done here. So these are the ones I did up in Knit Picks Chroma. I was having a little bit of an issue with color change, but it worked out okay, I think. So these are my flip top mittens. They came out pretty cool. And what I did, which is not completely necessary, but I always feel like flip top mittens are kind of unsecured when you put them on. So what I did was I just put a button there, and I wrote the pattern so that it has a buttonhole so that you can put the button on. Easier said than done. So that way, if you're moving your hand around, your top won't flip off. And because I found too, after I knit this one, if I, manipulated my hand a lot, or if you were out shoveling or doing whatever you're doing, it would tend to creep up. So we have a button there so that that won't happen. And I also, so there's options for this pattern. Once it's released, you'll see you can do fingers, or you can just do the big opening. And I also did my right hand, because I'm right-handed, I did with a flip top thumb as well. So you have the regular flip for your hand, but I also did a flip, so there's the thumb with it on. It's a little bulky, but if you want it to flip, that's what you gotta do. So my thumb also has a flip, so that was pretty cool. I did the left hand plain because, like I said, I'm right-handed. You could do both of them though. The instructions are in there so that you can do both, or plain thumbs, or flip top thumbs, or whatever you wanted. So that should be out soon because everybody's chugging along in the test knit, and we've already encountered some typos or, things I forgot to put in there, which is what test knitting is for, because I made up the pattern and I just go along and keep doing it and don't realize that I forgot to put that in the pattern. So, like a number, or I forget one sentence or something, but that should be done soon and it's going well. So now we're on to Heresy. I wanted to mention Valerie over at Wandering Cat Studios has a 50% off coupon for her, I just got some fiber in my eye, patterns. Good until February 7th, so you get a couple more days. And the coupon code is GATA, G-A-T-A, which is cat in Greek. And the reason she's doing this is the proceeds are going to help some kitties that need to be transported to a foster or adoptive home. I don't remember which one it is, but they need assistance, and the money's going to them. So I will put a link in the show notes so that you can go to her page, you can read their story, see their photos, and I will link to her pattern pages. And she's got some great patterns. She's got socks, she's got shawls, she's got hats, she's got mitts, she's got a whole bunch of different stuff. So, and she's doing 50% off, so really cool. I bought 2 of her patterns, 2 of her hat patterns, to help out and get some really cool patterns. I also have all had some of her shawl patterns in my library already anyway, because she does some really cool stuff. So check that out. Hogwarts at Ravelry. This rotation ends in 3 days. I was pleasantly surprised though, because I was able to enter that yarn that I spun. I didn't even think that I would get even close to my last rotation points. Last rotation I had 77 points, and this one I already have 108. So that's pretty cool. Ravelry Book Club. It's now February. I still didn't even finish that book. I have like 10% left. Ugh. I forgot to look and see what the next book is. But yeah. Seasonal Sock Syndrome. This current session is going until March 19th, so don't forget to enter your socks. And the Finish Him Knit Along is going very well. People are entering lots of different projects, and that's pretty cool. I did draw for a winner for January earlier today, so that's up on the group. And Ravelry patterns, I don't have any for this episode. I did look earlier, but nothing tickled my fancy, so I don't have any for you for that one. I do have something I forgot to show because I forgot to put it in the show notes, and I just saw it when I was getting my mittens. I was going to start, you probably remember the sock fiasco from the last episode. I was going to start another pair of socks. I was thinking of doing the Down the Rabbit Hole pattern that some people have done for the knit along, so I just pulled something out of my stash that I thought would go well with that, and that's this. This is Beyond Basic Knits. I don't even know if this person still dies, because this has been in my stash for years. Colorway is Squirt, but it's a good sock yarn, 75% superwash wool and 25% nylon. So I thought that would go well. And right now I need something really bright and cheery, because my last sock, I usually never have problems with socks, and like I said, that was just stupid of me to try doing that. I don't even know why I tried doing that. So I think I'm going to cast on Down the Rabbit Hole with this. Lovely. And Delusional Jabber. So reading, I already told you, I'm still on that Finding Alaska that I have not finished yet. I did want to, since I'm spinning in here a lot, I was going to start another Dresden Files audiobook. So I did go download one. I don't even know if it's the right one. What I did was I looked in Goodreads, and it looks like I've read 2, but that doesn't seem right. I thought I read a lot more than that in the series, so I went and I downloaded 3 from Audible. I probably should have read the description, because that may have given me a hint as to whether or not I've read that one. Why would I do that? If I did, though, anyway, it was probably a long time ago, so if I listen to it again, that's fine. But I was going to do that. And TV. I did finally watch I should probably tell you this story first. My husband made a deal with himself, apparently, that if the Patriots went to the Super Bowl, not won the Super Bowl, went to the Super Bowl, he would get a new 60-inch TV for our living room. So we have a new 60-inch. I'm glad they won, too, because it just makes that a little bit better, I guess. I don't know. So we have this new humongous TV in our living room. And we had a 42 before, which, yeah, it's quite a bit smaller, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So I finally watched the Doctor Who Christmas special, because I kept forgetting to watch it, and I finally watched that. And if you're familiar with Doctor Who, the intro is like, well, it's like a wormhole, but there's like clock gears, and then this like spiraling thing that like goes into a wormhole with the TARDIS. And when the spiraling thing came on, I said, holy bleep, this TV is humongous! Because that really like gave it away how much bigger the TV was than the old one. So, that's pretty cool though. It's nice. I did watch, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was on one of the channels, so my other day off, the other day I decided that, I would watch that, because we have this big TV now. I've seen it many times before, but I was like, oh, well, you got a big TV, I better, make use of it, so I watched that the other day. But yeah, that was just funny. I'm glad they won the Super Bowl, because, yeah, that was... It's not a huge deal, I just don't think we needed a 60-inch TV. But anyway. And for TV also, The Walking Dead comes back next Sunday. Yay! So excited. And I have the day off. Even more exciting. So, I think that's it for this episode. I thank you for joining me. I hope you are not buried under snow, unless you like skiing or snowboarding or doing those kind of things. I don't at all, so I want nothing to do with the snow. And happy knitting and spinning.